when we were at the exchange with You Can't Take It With You, we, alongside that, wanted to do a project which connected with, which I suppose reflected in some ways what the play was about, i.e. this really diverse group of people who happen to be in one family across different generations, and we thought it'd be nice to do that in a sort of participation project. So working with obviously the education team here, we put together a project with two Told by an Idiot actors, and they worked with a group of older people and a group of younger people, and they worked together over a period of weeks and created a showing which was fantastic. And then when we came back, we thought there's something about the spirit of the Ostrowski, the Too Clever by Half, which is very wild, in some ways wilder than the American play. It's very almost quite grotesquely funny. And we thought it would be interesting to do a different sort of project, also looking at this intergenerational thing. So we're quite excited because we're going to do something that works with a group of teenagers and a group of toddlers, sort of 3 or 4 year olds, which some people would probably say is a bit crazy. But we want to look at how those two groups of people might connect, because we've got a hunch that it might be, again, quite a wild, anarchic connection between a group of teenagers and a group of toddlers. So we're going to spend a week. I'm going to be leading it. We've got, again, a couple of performers joining us. And initially, it's about finding sort of meeting points between the two groups. And then it'll culminate in some sort of presentation for a group of toddlers where these teenagers will present in true idiot style a short piece, probably without language, to their younger colleagues. We're interested in exploring this notion of something that we've always been interested in. At the heart of our work is a certain sort of anarchic playfulness in our productions, and how present that is in the way that very young children play. And I think that's what we're sort of interested in seeing what sort of, I suppose, how we can ignite that sort of anarchy for a very young audience when they're watching something, and also watching older people maybe behave in a way that they're not used to seeing them. That's what interests us, is that, whether it's the idiot actors or these teenagers behaving in the way that they wouldn't expect. And I think we've done a little bit of work on this already, this notion, and it's interesting discovering the points where a really young audience, 4-year-olds, sometimes look at something and go, I can't believe they're doing that, that's too naughty, sort of thing, And at what point can you get them to sort of laugh at something which maybe they think, well, you shouldn't be laughing, which is not dissimilar to what we do with Told by an Idiot. I mean, in Too Clever by Half, the reason why we've called it a savagely funny comedy is a lot of the comedy comes out of really quite brutal situations socially, so that in the play you might be laughing 1 second and then thinking, oh, that's awful. So I think the same thing applies to this, in a sense, is can you laugh at something, or can the little one laugh at something when maybe they think, well, should we laugh? So it's similar, that's the touching point between our work and this experiment, I suppose. So brilliantly, because obviously the education team here have some fantastic sort of links with lots of different groups. The teenagers will come from their young company, who have worked with a variety of different practitioners and various different groups in lots of different projects. So in a sense, what's good about that is they'll be very up for it. They'll have already encountered theatre in lots of different ways. Perhaps not what we're going to do, but in some ways we're very interested in them being, it's a bit like them being the sort of equivalent of idiot actors, in a sense, for a week. So rather than us taking a group of sort of professional performers, what's exciting for us is to take a group of really sort of excited, up for it teenagers and mixing them with a couple of regular idiot performers. So I think the experience of that, I think, will be quite interesting, both ways round, I hope. And then the very young kids, the sort of toddlers, coming from a variety of different sort of nursery background, really. Because I think what's important for us, we were interested in seeing the younger, the very little ones, in an environment where they weren't with parents or carers or families, because I think there's a very different way of behaving when you're with mum and dad. So we're quite interested in getting them in here more with their sort of peers, if you like, from a nursery situation. And I think that's what interests us, is seeing them slightly out of the sense of being with mum and dad, and I think that might be interesting to see how they respond. So the whole project, experiment, which I keep calling it an experiment, it is an experiment. We don't know what will happen, and that's good. That's good. We don't have a sense of this. I'm sure it'll become very unpredictable, which is good. But it will take place over the course of the week, intensively, working here at the Exchange. The beginnings of the week, I think, will take the form of me sharing some sort of idiot language about how we make our theatre with the teenagers. So in some ways, there's a sense of sharing process, in a sense. Then we'll start devising some material with the teenagers. And then midway through the week, our younger colleagues will arrive. And it's at the earlier point when they arrive, I'm interested in just simple interaction, I suppose. So rather than us immediately going, oh, look, we're going to present this material, I'm interested when literally, how do we connect to them the second they come in the room? How do they engage with the performers or the props or the world? So it's not too conventional. We don't immediately go, okay, you're the audience and we're the performers. And I think that I'm interested in that being very blurred relationship. Even if ultimately we make a performing space and they watch something, I think for that age I'm very interested in a genuine interaction, I suppose. I think I don't quite see the point of us just presenting something. So the first initial thing will be about what's the contact. And then as we work towards the end of the week, on the Friday, we will do a little showing of whatever we've come up with, again, primarily for a very young audience. But I think, so over the course of that week, hopefully, we'll have explored something which ultimately could hopefully work for a very wide-ranging audience. So it's not that we're exploring the notion of, what happens when you make something that's just for 4-year-olds, in the hope of having myself and some of the idiot performers there who are, to put it one way, slightly older. Then you've got the teenagers, and then you've got the toddlers. I think what interests me is it then possible to make something ultimately that everyone could sort of enjoy, from 4 upwards, which is why it won't be heavily language-based. I imagine something that, if it has language, it is so minimal. Mostly it will be about finding a physical language, possibly with music, that sort of area that actually is kind of accessible for everyone.